Am I ready? I'm ready.
Should we get
You feel
the,
like a movie star, like, you know,
what is your
what is
full
it?
name?
Homer Marvin Daniel,
Who were you named after?
my father.
Where's the Marvin come from?
His name was Murray. They're supposed to be the same initial to make it a junior.
Oh, okay.
When is your birthday?
11/1934.
And what was your nickname when you were growing up?
Junior.
I remember people calling you Junior when I've been around. What's your first memory?
Probably getting lost in Howard. I was on but I knew my way home because I was on the way out of town when they found me,
Walking?
walking.
Quite a first memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stinks to get lost. Where were you baptized?
The Methodist Church in Howard, South Dakota. Best that I can remember. But it is warm in here.
Tell us about hanging out with your cousins, aunts and uncles, and what you did.
Well, hanging out with them usually was always at Wessington Springs during the memorial services on Memorial Day.
And were they all living on farms somewhere else then, or?
They were all on farms,
Okay.
living somewhere. Some of them lived in here.
What did you do at those picnics?
Usually played softball, except in my younger days where I wasn't big enough, but
What position did you play?
whatever was available.
all over, huh?
I remember a lot of softball at Wessington Springs.
That's what we're
Yeah.
talking
Oh, okay, sorry. Trying to get the fan on, there we go.
Okay, the next question is hanging out with high school friends. What stories do you have? What shenanigans were you up to?
You know, ours was usually getting a gallon jug and getting a gallon of beer for $1
Nice.
and hanging out in the country roads and passing the beer around. Probably why I hate beer now.
I was gonna say.
If you're warm, put your shoes off.
Okay, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Let me see. I had one brother, one half brother, and 8 sisters.
8 sisters.
Right.
A lot of progesterone going around there.
Yeah. Who gave you your haircuts?
You know what? I cannot remember even getting haircuts. I'm sure I must.
You must have had them.
Probably grandma, I
I
suppose.
imagine it was grandma, because I sure don't remember anybody.
That's all right.
Do you remember a time without indoor plumbing?
All the time when we lived on the floor, there was never plumbing inside
On where?
On the farm?
on the farm. We went outside to the bathroom and they had a big old Sears Roebuck catalog. You used that for paper.
You.
And how was the winters? Did that work? I mean, was it a quick in and out?
You bet. Once a year we had they got a keg of peaches somewhere, so you had nice little soft
Those peaches wrapper things.
peach wrapper deals.
Cool.
All right, so how did you stay warm in the winter? What heated the place?
Well, we had a pot-belly stove, and I could always hear my dad in the morning in there throwing cobs in to get it started, and then big logs in after that. And that's what kept us warm.
I bet it was damn cold in the morning.
It was cold. I can remember frost on our. My brother Bill and I slept together, and we had it was an old cowhide made into a blanket, and I can remember frost being on that in the mornings.
Jeez. Okay, so tell us about Christmas.
Well, Christmas wasn't really much a big meal. Used toys that came from my Aunt Jenny in Sioux City. She had a blind shop down there, and She collected things like that. That was our toys, used toys.
From Aunt Ginny in Sioux City.
Right,
Never heard of her.
That's what Ginger's named after, right?
right. Ginger's kind of named after her.
Oh, okay. Guess I did hear of
She
her.
must've been gone for a long time.
What?
Has she been gone for a long time?
Oh, yeah, she has now, a long, long time.
I remember when we were kids hearing about Aunt Ginny.
Yeah.
What'd you do for fun on the farm?
Worked mostly. I rode calves
Calves?
while I was herding cattle. I remember getting ringworm from them.
On your butt?
Oh, on my hands.
What'd you do about that?
Well, they got a ringworm salve.
I think you have to get the light again at the
So-
wall there. No, that's there.
How about pheasant hunting? Did you do that?
I never even had a gun, but I borrowed one. But that wasn't until high school, so we didn't do any pheasant hunting. My dad didn't, he never had he had an old 22 and I don't think he had a shotgun.
Didn't you shoot some with that old 22 single shot?
Yeah, we still got that somewhere.
They still have it, yeah.
Yeah, that's really an old gun.
Did you have a radio?
We had a radio.
What'd you listen to on the radio?
Well, it was either the Lone Ranger or Boston Blackie is the only things I can remember.
What is
Boston
Boston Blackie?
It was a detective show.
Oh. You know, ice fishing, a lot of times late in the evenings, I listen to some of those old things on the radio. I used to enjoy those.
The Boston Blackie kind. That's a song. Do you remember Pearl Harbor Day?
I barely remember that. I kind of knew something was going on, but I barely remember
You're
it.
about 6 or 7 then. 7?
Yeah, let's see.
1941.
Just
Yeah.
turned 7, yeah.
Just turned 7.
What do you remember about that war?
I remember the rationings, sugar and everything. You had stamps in order to buy sugar, to buy gas, anything like that. They had stamps. You had to have those in order to get anything. And the rich farmers, of course, they had more stamps than the poor ones
Why is that?
because they had used more gas. They had tractors.
Well, they needed them to
We had horses. They
make
didn't-
crops.
The horses didn't use much gas
So for your farm, you plowed and stuff with horses?
with the horses.
Oh, boy.
And also
Or
the,
did you like those horses? Were they
Big farm.
friendly?
well, I can remember a couple of them. I remember one with a sway back. And I don't know what caused that, and then I remember one named King who got struck by lightning and died.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
They just pulled him into the hog lot and the hogs ate him.
Oh, jeez.
They loved that stuff.
More than one way to get rid of a dead horse, huh? Oh, how about any dust storms? That dust
I don't
bowl in
remember
Howard.
dust storms. They talked about it, but I don't remember any.
I don't know if they were really more eastern in South Dakota. Did they have many around, or was that mostly western South Dakota?
I'm not sure.
Probably Kansas and so forth.
I know they had it in Lemon.
Okay.
Tell us about the day Grandpa Daniel died.
Well, I was in school in Roswell. It was just one little bitty school there, and there was probably 10 or 15 people in school. And I can remember the grocery store guy coming in and saying, I want to take the Daniel kids out of school. And the teacher asked why. Well, their father died. And that's about all I remember.
Didn't you
about it.
hear him say that?
heard
Because
him
you
say
were
that.
close enough to where the
Yeah.
teacher was that you heard that. And it had to have been quite
I think maybe there was
devastating.
three of us in school there at the time.
Who was at school?
Pardon?
Who would have been? Who were your sisters?
Betty Lou?
It would
Eileen.
probably been Betty Lou and me and Eileen probably.
Okay.
The other ones were graduated already?
Well, they were in high school.
Oh, okay. So that was a
The
different-
Doris and Dolores were away from home, so it would have been Lil, would have been in high school.
Okay. Tell us about the day the sheriff came after Betty Lou was killed.
Actually, the sheriff didn't come there. It was the coroner, Herb Willoughby, came and, I guess he came about 1 o'clock and my mother hollered upstairs at 4 o'clock and I said, no, I'm tired. I don't want to come down there yet. She said, well, Betty Lou was killed. And so I went right downstairs then and they said that one of them was hardly recognizable, but they didn't say which one. Well, it was Betty Lou that sounded like came right down on her head. Her head was swelled so big that they couldn't hardly recognize her.
Wow.
Horrible day.
That electric pole is still been replaced by Vilas, the one they hit and took out.
Replaced by what?
It was an REA pole. It wasn't a telephone pole. It was REA, which are bigger, and they
Oh.
took that pole right out.
Oh, wow. Well, joyriding, I suppose.
Well, they went to Florida, to Fedora, to Nasty Ann's. It was a little hangout, some old hag ran it over there.
She was 18?
She was a senior in high school,
Okay.
probably 18.
When did you move to town?
Well, it was a couple years later, we actually left that farm by Roswell. My brother was doing the farm and we went over south of Howard, maybe about 3 miles. And my brother farmed that. Well, then he joined the Navy, so they had a sale and sold out what we had, which wasn't much. A few cows and some beat up machinery.
When he was in the Navy, was that during World War II?
You know what? I can't remember.
Okay. Lost my spot. When did you get TV?
We never had TV at home.
Never did.
Never did.
When did you first get it then, after with mom or?
With Mom, we probably bought an old used clunker somewhere, do you remember?
I think we bought one for $60.
Probably still buy one for 60
Yeah, I
bucks.
think so.
That's a funny thing. They never really went up. Any memorable birthdays?
Probably my 80th birthday, that was kind of memorable to make that.
What happened that day?
I don't remember.
What about when you were a kid? What would a normal birthday? Would grandma make a cake or anything?
You know what, I never had a birthday cake until I married your mother.
Probably because you were an ornery kid.
That's probably
Who brought your mail to the farm?
an old broken down guy with an old broken down car probably drove it. I don't know.
Just
But
showed
I'm
up.
guessing it had to be somebody like that.
What stores do you remember visiting back in the old Howard days?
You know, I don't even remember any stores there. The old K&K was probably, it was a grocery store.
There's the store.
Kenyon and Kenyon.
Yeah. How about grandma's cafe where she worked?
Well, she worked in about 3 different ones. She worked in the Corner Cafe. I can't remember who owned that one. And then she worked in Cozy Cafe. And I don't remember who owned that one. And then she worked in Murray's Cafe. They called him Colonel Murray. I don't know where the Colonel came from, but
I remember going there when we were quite young.
I thought that was the Corner Cafe.
It could have been. I think it was too.
probably the corner one, yeah.
Okay. Get that a little lower, Dad, so you can see your eyes. There you go.
Did you have any pets you remember? Livestock, something memorable?
I remember a dog we had named Daisy. That she was kind of a yellow lab-like thing, and they figured she got worms or something because she was crazy one day, and So my dad shot her.
Wow.
That was euthanasia back in those days.
Yeah.
And you had your horses, King
Yeah,
and
we had a couple,
Sway,
three
old
horses.
Swayback.
They were all work horses, and we didn't really have any riding horses.
How'd you get to town?
Well, we had an old beat up car,
Oh, okay.
What?
hardly ran.
Do you remember what kind it was?
I don't remember now.
Model T or something?
It was not a very fancy or very new one.
Be fun to see a picture of it.
I kinda do remember it now too. It was an old Ford with a slant back in the back with hardly any trunk on it at all.
Okay.
It, had hardly any heat in it. The first heaters came out were a gas heater that ran off the gas.
Wow.
And, they just had a button to pull it to let the heat come out.
Sounds dangerous.
It does.
All right, so, did you have an ice box?
We did not have ice box. My mother canned all the meat and stuff, and that was the best meat ever. She canned it, and that's how it stayed.
Was that beef or what?
Beef. They usually butchered a cow and a pig once a year.
Okay.
They used the old hay mow where they put hay up in the low. And they would pull them up, stretch them up and that, and they butchered them themselves. There was usually a farmer next door would come over and help, or my Uncle Pat would come over and help.
Okay. Pat and Ellie.
Any criminals in the area?
You know, crime was not kind of wasn't really heard of back in those days.
Hmm.
We did, not that I know of
Spend
anyway.
all their time in Sioux Falls shooting it up?
Probably,
Did you ever go to Sioux Falls?
never, ever.
But did you ever
Howard was the closest we ever went.
No.
hear about like Al Capone as far as crime or
No.
Bonnie and Clyde, or you don't remember? Of course, that might have been, you must have been a little boy then. That would have been
We
the
were probably
30s.
listening to Boston Blackie then.
Yeah, something more enjoyable.
Did they have the news on the radio?
You know what, I don't even remember the news, I'm sure I never listened to it.
Huh? What'd you have to do for chores?
Get the cows in,
From where?
put them out in the pasture,
Milk cows?
milk cows. That was about it, there wasn't much other chores to do. I think my brother Bill probably did most of them.
Tell us about that chicken that chased you and what your dad did with that chicken.
Well, we had a chicken, every time I go outside, a rolled rooster would chase me up a tree. And finally my dad went and shot him and we had him for supper.
How'd it
A
taste?
fine ending.
Okay, so, what was your first job and what'd you get paid?
Well, I worked for Lawrence Feldhaus out on the farm, and they really, you'd come in for lunch and you were really black. There was no cabs on the tractors and things then. And as far as getting paid, I don't remember what I got paid. Probably $1 an hour, if that.
Not much, I'm
Maybe 50 cents an hour. And then I remember shocking, and I know the money went to my parents to feed us.
Yeah.
So I never got the money there.
Where'd you go to high school?
Howard High School,
Who was your best friend?
probably Red Deerscheid or Donnie Stanger,
Red, is he the one that was down in,
Mississippi.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
Gulf
Died.
Shores, was it?
died a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember hearing the name a lot.
I remember both them names.
Donnie who?
Stanger, Stangoher, I think it is.
About Red McDonald.
Red didn't go to school with me. He went to Argonne High School.
Oh, he did? I'll be darned. Did not know that.
Whatever happened to Donnie? Do you know?
Stanger.
Yeah.
He died maybe 10 years ago, I think, Marie? I think so.
Okay. So you stayed in touch though?
Yeah, he lived right down here. off of Bonson Avenue.
Okay.
Tell us about your six-man football.
Well, six-man football, speed was the game there, and I was pretty fast, so I scored a few touchdowns off of that. And defense, if you couldn't, if you could outrun the runner, you would tackle them, but
I think they're kind of gonna go back to six-man.
they're gonna go back to six-man this year, yeah. Hello, Ginge. Yeah, they're gonna
Oh, I'm Ginger.
start six-man again this year. I don't know where Howard, but they'll probably be nine-man.
Nine-man, Howard would probably.
Yeah.
Well, why did you join the Marines?
Well, because I could get in for 3 years instead of 4.
What, you had
Air
to go?
Force and Army were 4 years apiece.
Really?
And then I went in with Denny Felstead and Lyle Bachman. And Denny Felstead and I stayed together the whole time in there. And Lyle Bachman, he got on where he went, but I haven't seen him since.
Hmm. Tell us a Marine Corps story.
Well, probably the most memorable was making a mock landing on Iwo Jima and going to the old top of Mount Suribachi.
Just hike to the top and say hi, or wave?
Yeah, where the flag was, it wasn't that high.
Was there a flag up there then?
Oh yeah, there was flags there, and the bad thing, we didn't have decent cameras, so we didn't really get a good picture.
Mm.
We just had really poor cameras back in those days.
That was not like 5 or 6 years after the actual landing?
Yeah, it was, gonna be probably 7 or 8 years after.
Yeah. Could you still see a lot of
Oh yeah,
shell marks and?
I still have, I have that big old bullet up there at the cabin.
At the cabin, yeah.
From, that I brought back from there, we weren't supposed to, but we got the powder out of it and
Brought it back.
brought it back.
Was that American weapon or?
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It was an anti-aircraft.
Didn't you find some pistols?
We did find a pistol and the officers took them away from us. So we-
Japanese pistols, right?
Yeah, so we didn't get to keep them. That would have been fun to have those, so.
I bet the officer did. Took it home.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
What about, remember a thing called a blanket party when you were in the Marines? What was
Oh, yeah, that was if somebody goofed up or something, they'd throw a blanket over them and pound them. So they wouldn't goof up the next time.
it? Oh, retribution.
Yeah, if somebody goofed up, the whole platoon got punished.
Well,
That
that'll,
was a boot camp though.
oh, okay.
How about your time in Japan?
Well, we went all over as much as we could. We went to Ernie Pyle Theater and we went to top of Mount Fuji. That was a big hard climb.
Who'd you live with there?
Pardon?
Where'd you stay there?
We were in barracks.
Barracks?
Yeah.
I thought you knew some Japanese people or something, didn't you?
No, you kind of knew them, but you didn't.
Yeah. Were they pretty shell shocked?
Well, they were just happy that they weren't getting pounded on anymore.
Yeah, I suppose. How did you meet Mom and where?
Well, I think it was the Macamba Club downtown on Main.
Isn't the Club Cabana?
Maybe it's a Club Cabana.
I don't remember.
It was a club though, huh?
It was a club.
I did not know that.
Anyway, I seen that cute little gal over there and I went and asked her to dance and
He was with, you want me to say this?
Sure.
All right. I was with Cheryl Westergaard, who we went to college with.
Okay.
So he knew Cheryl, and that's how we got to know each other.
And who was Dad with?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Oh, okay.
But I do remember being with Cheryl Westergaard.
I wasn't,
Okay.
I wasn't with, alone, I know that.
Thought maybe it'd be Red McDonald or
It could have been,
one of those old boys from
could have been
the
Vernon
day.
Hobb,
That's what I'm thinking,
Boothies.
right.
How did you propose?
I just said, will you marry me? Like a fool she did.
Well, it took. Where did you get married?
Over in Laverne, Minnesota, and I don't remember the church.
Was it at a church?
No,
It was at a parsonage, I think. Wasn't it?
parsonage.
Yeah.
What's the parsonage?
No, it's a house owned by the church.
Oh, okay. Tell us about the old North End or where you lived up then, those days.
You know, I don't remember where it was at, but we lived in the basement apartment at the place. Over there, kind of by Mike's the Bells in that area.
I remember you showed me the place
Yeah.
once. It's,
And then after that, I think we moved over in Williams, and then Eileen moved in with us. What'd she have? I think she just had Lori at the time.
okay, when you finally bought the home, where was that at?
Oh, it's over at Snevy, 15th and Snevy. My first home, we thought we had a castle.
What'd you have to pay for it?
I think $9,100. And the payment was like 85, which included tax and insurance.
Did you have to scratch pretty hard for that 95 bucks
Oh,
once in a while?
that was tough.
No.
That was tough to
Oh, it's in
raise.
the door.
Yeah. Tell us about your best day of fishing.
Well, probably my best day of fishing was probably when we went to Alaska with my two boys, and we really hammered the fish. It was really wavy out there and big swells, and there was
Halibut fishing.
halibut fishing. I think there was probably like 15 on the boat, and like 7 of us were not sick. And after 2 halibut, my arms were about to break off, and I told the captain, well, I'm done now. No, you're not, he said, I gotta fill the boat. And I said, why? He said, look around you, there's about 8 guys down sick.
Bunch of seasickness, it was rough.
It was rough.
Those knuckleheads are the ones that went out drinking the night before.
We had good salmon fishing up there too.
Yeah, we did have. I remember it was Father's Day, and I hooked that, it was my turn to get one, and Greg hadn't got one yet. So I let him reel it in, and it was a huge one.
That's a good fish, like a 70-pounder.
Yeah.
Okay, how about a good hunt? Do you remember any good hunts?
Well, one of the best hunts I can remember, and I can't think it was one of Greg's kids were born. I'm not sure if it was Billy or not, but it was we went by Roswell up there. At the end of the field, we had more pheasants than we had guys hunting.
With Roger Piper.
Roger Piper's group.
We
And,
were waiting on Elizabeth to be born.
is that who it was,
Yep.
Elizabeth?
Yep, and I had an old
You had to run off.
old cell phone that I could call on and check.
Anyway, we really, they were impressed with my boys shooting on the thing there. Who's your sharpshooters he brought? They told Roger.
I think Jeff had a pile.
I had a
9
big
9
pile.
or 10 birds.
There were 12 birds.
Is that what it was?
I was hot.
Tell us about becoming a father with a firstborn son. Whose question is that?
Well, it was a very happy occasion. First thing I did is count his fingers and toes. And they were all there.
Yeah.
Oh, did you count one other thing and find out you had a son?
Well, you know what? They were all wrapped up. We didn't.
The doctor told you, I suppose.
All right, then I guess you had another son. Was
Yeah,
that just
we-
like a rerun?
Yeah, 13 months later.
Yeah.
What a sweet baby, I'm sure.
And I don't remember who they were named after. I think maybe what, Gregory Peck and Jeff Chandler.
Your father named you both.
He did.
Really?
Did not know that.
In fact, I got a Mother's Day card. It was from Greg and Jeff, he wrote. That's before he was born.
Okay.
Oh, before I was even
He had the
born.
name all picked up.
You didn't know it was a boy though.
Well, obviously he knew it was a boy.
Made a good guess.
He was right.
50-50 shot, I guess. How about when you had a little girl?
Well, I cried. I thought I was so happy that we got a girl. And that was the end of the line.
That's the end of that, huh? Okay, in the 70s and the 80s, you guys were square skipping. What else did you guys do for fun?
I think, I can't remember when did we start skiing? Maybe we were skiing.
You sure
I think
were.
I probably were, because I was traveling on the road, yeah. So anyway, I went in, Hans Jorgensen, who you both know, he said, I got a condo out there at Steamboat Springs, why don't you use it? No, we don't ski. So I told Dr. Houston, a good friend over at Fairbolt, about it, and he said, oh, take it. He said, those are expensive. So we ended up taking ski lessons. It was like 30 below zero on I can't remember the hill out here.
Terry Peak?
Great Bear?
Or that's a myth.
Great Bear out here, and we stumbled around. They went into the warming house, and you know, your mother said, well, I don't know where my husband's at. She told one of their instructor, and he said, well, I seen somebody stumble in the wall down the hill coming down, and it was me. So anyway, we ended up going out there, and Dr. Houston came with us, and we just had balls with him out there.
You also skied with like Karen and Jean Shea.
Well, they were with us all the time.
They took lessons with us.
Every
Right.
time we went out there.
Took what? Okay.
Going out there, we got to past Chamberlain. We had breakfast in Chamberlain, and it was Karen's turn. We always took turns driving. It was Karen's turn to drive. And she said, well, how fast can I go? And I said, however much money you have to pay the highway patrol. Well, we weren't a couple miles down the road, and there was one behind her.
Uh-oh.
Red lights on.
Oh, jeepers.
Probably 55-mile-an-hour limit then.
I don't even remember.
I know you also skied at Terry Peak quite a bit.
Yeah, we skied Terry Peak a few times.
In the Black Hills.
Okay, so what else you do then? Snowmobile?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we had snowmobiles. By the time I got home every week from on the road, like my boys and girls had them broke down. So I spent putting new belts on, and
So what kind of snowmobiles? I can't remember what those
well,
blue
the
ones.
first one we bought, it was a purple one. I
People
can't
Eater.
remember the name of it.
The
But
purple people eater, they called it, remember it was purple?
yeah, then we had jet skis. Then we had
You had a Rupp
Snow jet?
the red one was a rough.
snow jet.
Wasn't it a snow jet?
Snow jet.
Snow jet, yeah, it was the blue one was a snow jet.
Snow jet,
That's
is that what
it
they're
was,
called?
yeah.
I was trying to remember that the other day.
And what about driving down the Sioux River, and where would we go?
Oh, yeah. We went to Shakey's Pizza, and I don't know how cold it was, but it was really cold.
And
Couldn't
beef
figure
and
out why
onion.
nobody was out. Heck, we had that little three-seater that we tucked three little kids in and pulled them behind it down there. We went and had pizza and went home.
And that was out by the Western Mall.
Right, it's being renovated right now down there.
See, it's gonna be a taco place or something, it looked like.
Oh, that's over by Barrel Bucks.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I saw
Yeah.
that.
Those were fun days going down the river,
Oh,
getting
yeah.
pizza. That was a real treat.
Watching them make it in there?
Yeah.
What'd they serve at Shakey's besides pizza?
I don't know, it's all we ever ate was pizza.
We serve fun at Shakey's, also pizza.
Also pizza, that's right.
Okay. Well, tell us about your relationship with or your mom and your dad.
Say that again?
Tell us about
Wrong
your
pipe.
relationship with your mom and dad and siblings.
Well, I think I had a pretty good relationship with them. I always kind of felt my dad picked on me. But, I always got the crappy jobs, herding cattle all day,
Because you were the boy?
I guess.
Yeah. How'd you get along with mom's parents at first?
I had absolutely no problem whatsoever with them. Of course, I do think a lot of it was because we had boys to start with. And Grandpa Vots always had was girls, so.
Yeah.
It had to been good. Wish I knew how to shut it off.
Till we fired a rock through the window or something.
Yeah.
I remember doing that. It was a baseball, I think. Jeff couldn't catch, that's why.
We needed to blame early, Jeff.
I do.
Did you have another career choice you wanted to do?
I always thought I wanted to be a football coach, but I'm sure glad I wasn't, because I'd have been still in the poorhouse.
You did a lot of other things with football though.
Ask him about refereeing.
Refereeing, that's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
we refereed one of the first playoff games in the state of Minnesota. It was over at Fairmont between Hutchinson, Minnesota and Fairmont. Hutchinson came out that looked like a college team. They were huge monsters. So they pretty well whipped Fairmont.
A lot of times on the way after the game, you'd stop and get some good food to eat at.
Magnolia Steakhouse. And what the money I made was like $25 a game, and it would actually, back in those old days, that would buy us groceries for a week.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Out of those, by our four-man crew, I know Kenny Cheddar and Bill Rice are both dead. I do not know about Stu Ballou.
That was his name, Stu Ballou?
Stu Ballou.
Okay. Did you have another career choice you wanted to do? I already said that. What is your best memory?
I gotta see what I wrote down.
Can't remember.
Who you gave them to me? Did you know the other questions?
Oh, okay, that was pretty easy when all my kids were born.
Okay. If you had to change anything, what would it be?
Nothing.
Nothing. Good life. How did you pick Greg and Jeff's name? We already said that kind of, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about the history of the family Bible.
Well, I can just remember it. I don't know where it came from. But I know it was to go to Dad, my dad from his family, and then go to the oldest boy, which was Bill, in our family. Then after he died, then it came to me. And now, after we got it, Mom took it up to the penitentiary and had it refixed because it was really falling apart.
Not that one. That's not what I took up. I took up that,
Is this it?
that book your dad used to teach school with.
Oh, I thought you took this up there too.
Uh-uh.
Thought I'd show you that Bible. It's a big one.
No doubt. I don't remember looking at it anytime.
Why don't you lift it up a little, Dad, toward cover your face with it. There. That's good. Thank you.
All right, and then got scribbled on here, but Jeff didn't even remember this, but I remember you said you used to you went to a camp at Pactola, where Pactola Lake is when you were a kid?
I did, because I was so skinny, but it was a health camp. And Sid Davidson and I were both, I don't know who paid for it. I think the county paid for it, because we sure didn't have any money, but they said two years in a row I was out there to that. And kind of fattened up since then. But that was a nice, it was, actually, it was the name of the town was, I think it was Silver City. And it's actually underwater now, there is no town there no more. But Camp Wanzer, that was the name of the camp. It was Camp
Wanzer?
Wanzer, W-A-N-Z-E-R, I think.
What'd you do? Fish, hunt?
Oh, just, yeah, we had little, we always chose sides, and one time we were the enemy, and I remember this little guy, that we came by him, and we were, it was kind of like we played army. And this one guy, he said, "There them is." So we knew right away where they were at. Later on, I met that kid on the actually, he played basketball, was a great basketball player for Agar. That was before Agar and Oneida consolidated into one school.
Did you have another question, Ginger, you said earlier? I didn't write it down.
Was it? Oh, so at your age, do you feel like you're 84 or do you feel like you're 50?
You know, at times I feel like I'm 50, but the old body sure don't. I wished I wish my body felt like it did 2 years ago.
Well, we're glad you're here right now. Anybody got any other questions or input on anything?
You never asked him about his job at all.
What about Nelson Laboratories and how did you get started there?
Well,
And
actually, I went down and interviewed with Wendell Nelson, and at the time being, I was $1.10 an hour. But when O.W. Nelson, his dad, came in, he said, "Well, you're married and you got a baby, so we're going to give you $1.20 an hour." And I started packing boxes in the back and ended up knowing all along I was going to get this job that I was going to get. And so I was offered a job a couple different times with other companies, like Farvet was one, and Sioux Nation, of course, was another one. And I'm really glad I stayed, because it was really a good job.
met a lot of good friends in Minnesota once you went on the road, I know that.
Right. In fact, I just dreamt last night, I think it was, that I was at the Minnesota meeting, and the first guy I bumped into was Dr. Greiner.
Oh,
What a good friend he has been.
I think he's fully retired now.
He is, he called me, didn't I tell you that
No.
about it? He called me about maybe a month ago. And just out of the clear. And then he told me, I asked him about our friend Jerry Jacobson, Dr. Jerry Jacobson at Clarissa. And Jerry committed suicide.
Really? Wow. That's too bad.
Yeah, I guess his dad had Alzheimer's, and he was kind of, thought he was coming down with it too,
Oh,
so.
okay.
So how many years did you work at Nelson Lab?
40, I can't remember.
well, 58 to 97.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many years.
So what about, well, some of my favorite things were hunting, were geese out at the river.
Oh, yeah, we had walls out there, those were some of our real good hunts out there.
When you and Iwerks and Vanderlinde rented that land next to
Yeah.
McDowell's, and we outshot the state pits that year. That was
Yeah, we
pretty fun.
rented that for $50, I think.
Wow.
From some Indian people,
Some
right?
Indian chief, I think he needed some fire water. Anyway, yeah, that was one of our better deals. Bob Anderson got us lined up for that.
That was very valuable land.
And then Bob Anderson got picked up for shooting his son's goose, and And he paid his fine in pennies.
Well, anything else you wanna add?
I can't think of anything.
So right now, some of your favorite things are what? Like, and I'm thinking this summer, or even just looking out your window, you enjoy.
Well, of course, our cabin is probably one of my favorites, even though we don't own it anymore, we still
We're all in.
consider it our cabin.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
And probably one of our memorable deals was a couple of years ago when your mother and I were up there. We didn't have cocktail hour very long outside, but we had it out there on the deck it was so nice out. And that was late, that was in November.
It was November, yeah. That was quite a year.
And another thing I'm really proud of is the boys doing all the work getting the high plains going, which we really made a lot more money on that than what Nelson Lab sold for.
They kinda took the pickle on that one.
They did.
When they
took
sold
the
to
pickle big
MWI.
time.
How about your grandkids? I mean, I don't know,
Oh,
you're
I
proud of
got
all of
five
them.
great grandkids. They're all their athletic abilities is really been good, every one of them.
Well, any other things, thoughts?
So did you come
Memories?
driving down the road with the red cellophane over the spotlight?
Oh, well, yeah, we have.
That was
Yeah, that was when I was really in high school. Gene Lefthal he was another young guy that we run around with, and actually his dad was a cop in Howard. So we'd actually used his car, but he turned the lights on. We would never turn around and come back. And one time I can't remember what we were doing anyway, his dad was chasing us, and we would never stop. And he said, if you would have stopped, I'd have kicked your butt.
I said there's a squirrel at the bird feeder.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's why earlier I was thinking you enjoy watching the birds here
Oh,
lately.
yeah, I love watching the birds and the deer when they show up. We haven't had any deer for a while now, but
So how about, we didn't talk about when you went to church when you were young, did we?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Greg
you know,
must.
I can't remember. I can remember all piling in and going to church, but I can't remember much about it.
Do you
Piling
remember?
in what kind of a vehicle?
It was an old 37 Chevy or Ford with a flat back on it, and I remember that.
Well,
Another thing is our little farm up by Lake Elber. We really have enjoyed that for several years. We bought it from our neighbor across the road up there that came across and needed the money, and so we just bought it from Oscar Flizren. He was a great guy.
We've enjoyed that land, that's for sure.
All right, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thank
All
you.
right, well, thank you, and good luck in the future.
Thanks, Dad. We appreciate it.
You know,
Signing off.
the